This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and around the world on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, our broadcast affiliates, and satellite programming providers. Once again, if you'd like to send an email, studio@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can find out what we've been doing, what we are doing, and what we intend to do at www.xzoneradiotv.com. Rich Hoffman is my special guest this hour, and Rich is the Alabama-Mississippi State Director for MUFON and the Director for Strategic Projects at the international level. Also supports the Science Review Board as a case reviewer. Now, Rich has investigated and reviewed thousands of UFO sightings, which include landings, radar, animal mutilations, and other paranormal mysteries in his tenure. He has delivered hundreds of lectures to service club, churches, and many other organizations, and appeared on numerous radio and television shows, including The Donahue Show, Unexplained Files, and many more. He's also helped produce UFO Files episode Hangar 18, the UFO Warehouse for the History Channel, and appeared in numerous books on the subject. For more information on Rich or MUFON, visit their website at www.mufonal.org. And Rich, welcome to the X-Zone.
Hi, glad to be on.
Hey, Rich, tell me, what got you interested in UFOs?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. It was like back in 8th grade, I was in a science class. I was late for the class. The instructor had assigned us to do a 10-minute presentation. And I signed up on the list, the only thing that nobody put their name next to, and it turned out to be UFOs. And then I half-heartedly interested in them. I went up to the teacher. I said, well, what's a UFO? He said, well, you ever heard of flying saucers? They're unidentified flying objects. I said, well, I've got no clue. He said, well, go do your homework and then, come back and deliver a 10-minute presentation. Well, I kind of went to I think I got a book out called My Trip to Venus. I think I got a set of encyclopedias out and looked at just a little bit there. Didn't do much with it. Didn't really read it much.
So to put it in a nutshell, you didn't do your homework.
I didn't do my homework. And so consequently, when I stood up in front of the class, I really basically bombed it. And the teacher then was asking questions like, well, what about jet pursuits? What about this? What about that? I'm going like, wow, what did you read?
Exactly.
So I got my D on that report that day and went home that evening. And basically, it was just around the April 24th, 1964 time. And I was watching Walter Cronkite come on the evening news, CBS Evening News, and he was talking about a case that happened in Socorro, New Mexico. And when I heard that, and I was talking, that was basically like talking about a landing where there was actually some, indications in the soil. There was like some shrubs that were burned.
Right.
And then, I said, wow, that was really interesting. And that caught my attention. And then, and the fact that it was a police officer, I thought, wow, this is really interesting. So a couple of days later, my aunt took me over to a bookstore, and it was in the city of Dayton, Ohio. And bottom line is, I found my first book, which was I bought my first book, which was the Report on Unidentified Flying Objects by Captain Edward Ruppelt, who was the former head of Project Blue Book. And then I kind of dove into the book. I was really reading it. I'm reading about these jet pursuits that my teacher was talking about. I'm reading about military cases. I'm reading about, and it turns out that it was just up the road where Project Blue Book was located. And that just gave me a new awareness and a new interest, the fact that it was just right here. And so I started to really dive in and to really get as much as I could. I got as many books out. I was reading furiously. I was clipping out every newspaper article I could find. And just really now I'm doing my homework, by the way, Rob. So after the fact, now I'm really doing this investigation, kind of work into learning more about it. I was asked to do a presentation in the downtown Dayton area at a museum of natural history.
All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we have a little bit of a cliffhanger here? Exonation Rich Hoffman is our special guest. And if you'd like to get more information on Rich or the Mutual UFO Network in Alabama, www.mufonal.org. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and we come to you Monday through Friday from 11 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the X Zone Broadcast Network and our fine family of broadcast affiliates and satellite programming providers. Don't go away. More about UFOs on the other side of this break.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Shamanism is recognized as a method to access the quantum level. Mastery of shamanic skills puts spiritual information and healing power into your hands. Path Home Shamanic Art School, a bonded Colorado certified occupational school, has met rigorous state standards, ensuring its director and instructors have the qualifications to teach the shamanic arts. Path Home offers its certification program in blocks of study. Block 1, a 5-day intensive, will be held in the beautiful mountain town of Coaldale, Colorado, October 13th through 18th. Registration deadline is September 12th. Experience journey trance, power animals, helping spirits, sacred space, and life purpose. Come discover your power. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magical world of shamanism. Call 303-775-3431 or visit findyourpathhome.com.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st Century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Exonation, we're talking about UFOs this hour with Rich Hoffman. And Rich is the Alabama-Mississippi State Director for MUFON and Director for Strategic Projects at the international level. Also supports the Science Review Board as a case reviewer. Rich, have you had your own UFO experience?
I've not seen a UFO. I mean, it's amazing to me that here I am. I've been in it for so long, 52 years, and I constantly am looking up. I don't see. I see objects that I tend to. I'm able to pretty much explain, and so it frustrates me because I'm always like looking out windows in aircraft and trying to see if I see anything, and I don't see anything. But my experience comes vicariously through others.
Right.
And so after you've done these investigations and you've been out to like a case like I had where in 73 where there was a landing incident that took place, and we're able to go and look at a wheat field that's basically missing its 70-foot in diameter circular area where the ground was baked 2 feet in the ground and there's no roots in the middle, and as you progressively move out in any direction toward the 70-foot, I mean the 35-foot anyway, distance from the middle, you then start seeing a little bit of stubble, and then you see a rotational pattern of the wheat, and then you see puffed wheat around the perimeter. And when you've done that kind of investigation, it kind of gives you like, you're standing in the middle of that and you're saying, well, what could have done this? And there's no tracks coming in, and there were like UFO reports the night before in the area. You just have one of those like aha moments, and
right.
So that was an aha moment, along with many others that I had consequently after that.
Are UFO sightings up this year or down?
A lot of people tend to think. You hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, sightings are up." Mm-hmm. They're really not up. And let me qualify it.
Sure.
There's a difference between reports and UFOs. I mean, after you analyze them, okay? So what I'm going to tell you is that reports seemingly will go up and down. But after you investigate them, if you look at the number of unknowns that you actually get out of that, meaning that there's so many misidentifications that by the time you get down to the ones that are actually unexplainable, and you truly look at what UFOs are about, you find out that UFO cases are pretty much even, or maybe even going down a little bit.
With all the modern technology available to everyone, they have a high-definition snap camera as well as a video camera in their iPhones, dashboard cameras, closed-circuit TVs, and so on. Have you seen the smoking gun photo that would convince everyone that UFOs, and I'm talking about the ones from other planets, are actually here?
I would have to say that the answer is no. And let me qualify it by saying this. We can't rely on photographic evidence alone. We have to account for the fact that photographs are typically not going to get you very far at all. I mean, you could probably pretty much see that. You interviewed Tom Carey not long ago, and you saw the consequence of just trying to interpret 2 slides, right?
Yeah.
And there's pitfalls with any kind of thing like that. It's what we run across is where you have multi-sensory kind of data that helps to support that case. And so when you have, like, for example, an object that's now seen on a tracking system, and it fires and shoots at a Minuteman missile, and you've captured this on a kind of like a high military grade camera and tracking system, that's going to be pretty doggone conclusive. However, the problem is that that evidence was collected by the CIA, and you don't see it. Or if you look at the JAL incident that happened up in Alaska, then you have a situation where on that flight, the radar data, what did they have? The FAA was trying to have a meeting, the CIA was at it, and they confiscated and called it classified and took away that data.
But why would the CIA be involved? They have no jurisdiction on the within the United States. Their jurisdiction is outside. How come the National Security Agency doesn't take care of this?
The interesting thing, well, and it's a good point, National Security Agency is just listening to monitoring of data and information and things like that. But the CIA, if you look back on the history, has always played a major role. I mean, if you go back to the 1953 Robertson Panel Report, the CIA was at the meeting. The CIA was the one that pretty much controlled it. The CIA was the one that said, well, we need to debunk all the excitement about UFOs, and they actually formulated the strategy that would be developed and handled as we went along. Plus, if you take a look at it, you find out, like, if you wonder, like, why this whole thing has been discredited by a lot of people. The CIA provided a lot of manipulation and control over media. In fact, if you look at the tabloids and all those things that were on our checkout stands where you'd see Hillary Clinton holding an alien baby or,
well, that baby was her and Trump's love child.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. That explains it. But there's a situation there where, I mean, if you looked at the guy who was in charge of it, you track him. He was directly in the CIA. I mean, connected to the CIA. So propaganda and dispelling that kind of information. If you look at Area 51 and the whole development of that was a CIA surveillance-based operation initially. And so you have the CIA playing heavily within even just the United States alone.
Why would is it possible then, based on what you just said about the involvement of the CIA, is it possible that the CIA were actually the men in black?
Yes, it is possible. In fact, it's more than likely that's the people who were doing that. You have to also look at and follow the threads for the Battelle Memorial Institute. Battelle Memorial Institute was a consultant to Project Blue Book for the longest period of time. It's located out of Columbus. It's a privately held company that gets in and does a lot of work with the government. It's always been connected to the UFO history, if you would. And so there are some people that believe that possibly some of them also were probably on a defense contract to get information and did that. And then you also have a case like I had over in Mississippi, for example, where basically a former sheriff of a small town in northern Mississippi happens to see one evening a small object like an orb. They described it like an orb. Followed by a triangle, followed by what looked like a military helicopter, and they're all flying around the skies. And he's like, what's going on? And he observes that, and he goes later on over and he's hearing voices coming out from his next property that's adjacent to him, which is mostly trees and public land and not privately held. He goes in the woods and finds that there's 5 men that are dressed in black camo kind of uniforms, and one of them's got a device that's around his neck and he's got like a panel in front of him, and he's doing some sort of controls on it, and they threaten him to get out of the woods, go away, and don't say you didn't see it. I mean, you didn't see us. Don't say anything. Well, he decided that he was going to go ahead and to report it to MUFON. I assigned an investigator from South Mississippi. They started having conversations back and forth, and it looked very promising. We were going to get some good information about that. And then suddenly the tenor changed, and he started talking like, I can't talk about this anymore. I can't do this. And bottom line, what he revealed to us was that he said, I had a knock at my door. Some guy wearing like a dark suit with a white shirt and a tie type thing comes in, and he's now telling me, I thought we told you to shut up and not say anything. And he's holding up emails that I had with the MUFON investigator.
And this is according to the sheriff.
Well, yeah, the sheriff had indicated the fact that somebody was now threatening him at the door and telling him and holding up their email conversations. At which point, then he's pretty much upset and he's just broken off the communication, and then we couldn't get any more on the case.
Based on your experience and the fact that you're the Alabama-Mississippi State Director for MUFON, in your opinion, what is the most compelling case to date that UFOs, number one, are real, and number two, they have actually landed?
Well, I mean, compelling to me would be of course, that they landed would be the one case I just told you about, because I couldn't identify or I couldn't explain that. I've had a lot of compelling cases over the years where, a good example in Mississippi in 2013, I had a case where, just a pilot was out flying in the near Picayune, and he's at about, 2,500 feet, flying at 140 miles an hour in a small Cessna, and he sees an object that basically is now under his wing and flying along with him. And it was a silver-shaped object, and it had, no fuselage or anything like that, no means of propulsion. And it's following along with him. And then he sees it kind of like dip back behind him, and he loses sight of it. And he flies up a little bit further, tries to come around and try to see if he can find it, and now he can't find it. Anyway, he reported it. We looked into it. And then basically what we started to do was say, well, let's see if there's any radar data. And we filed a FOIA request to the FAA. And we're able to get data sets from, I think it was like 6 different radar sites. We were able to obviously pick up his plane from the radar out of Picayune, where he took off south of that. But anyway, we were able to get radar data on his aircraft movement. And at the same time, there was a radar site that was over in Alabama that happened to pick up a trace of an object that was over near his position. And we could follow the object and see where it was maneuvering. And it was interesting because it basically got near the aircraft, and then it made a complete move back. It changed from 140 miles an hour down to like just no time. It was down to 60 or 50 and then 35. And then it made a 120-degree turn and started moving up north. So, I mean, that's a pretty compelling case. I mean, it was the fact that we had radar data. We've got a very credible pilot. But I've had many more than that. I could probably talk for hours about many, many cases. The Aguadilla case in Puerto Rico is probably a pretty interesting case.
All right, let's talk about that case. Let's talk about that case when we come back from this commercial break. Thanks very much for joining us, Rich. I sincerely appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Exonation, Rich Hoffman is our guest, and he is the Alabama-Mississippi State Director for MUFON and the Director for Strategic Projects at the international level. Also supports the Science Review Board as case reviewer. His website is www.mufonal.org. Speaking about UFOs, Exonation, how would you like to be part of UFO history? I kid you not. Go to www.cubesat4disclosure.com. All the information is there. That's www.cubesat4disclosure.com. I'm Rob McConnell. This is The X Zone. Rich Hoffman is my guest. We'll both be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Exonation Rich Hoffman is our guest this hour. www.mufonal.org. Rich, before we went to the break, you started to give us a bit of a teaser about a UFO case in Puerto Rico that you were involved with.
Yeah. So in fact, the interesting thing about it, I just mentioned that Mississippi case.
Yeah.
The Mississippi case just preceded this event.
Really?
Yeah, which was really interesting the same year. By the way, the Mississippi case became one of the top 10 cases for MUFON of 2013. This case I'm going to talk to you about is a case where this is interesting because it's the first time that I've ever had the opportunity to actually see video footage of an unknown object, whatever that is, that is taken by a government video camera. This is taken by a Customs and Border Protection aircraft that took off at the Rafael Hernandez Airport, which is in the northwest corner of Puerto Rico. It was August the 25th at about 9 o'clock in the evening that, and this is preceding that aircraft takeoff. There were over, when we got the radar data, by the way, we were able to see that there were over 40 hits of an object that was maneuvering just off the coastline in the northwest of that little airport. And so turns out that, that these 40 hits, if you started to track them, we actually deduced the speed of them. At one point, the object made a speed change of something about over 1,000 miles an hour. So it was making some pretty compelling moves out in that area. But anyway, after about 14 minutes of the radar tracks, then you suddenly have, about that time, the aircraft taking off from the Aguadilla or the Rafael Hernandez Airport on its routine mission. And so you have a flight crew of 4, you have a pilot, co-pilot, you have a thermal imaging camera operator and a radar operator and what they call a de Havilland aircraft Dash 8. By the way, it's a de Havilland Canada. Just thought I'd mention that.
Oh, there you go.
The Dash 8 aircraft, and it's basically now taking off. It starts to get its ascent going. The pilot looks out to the left and sees that there's an object that has a red, kind of a red pinkish light to it that is maneuvering now toward the airport, according to his vantage point. So he then goes out and he's watching this lighted object as it's coming toward the coastline, and it's now heading toward the airport. But anyway, he's now making a huge loop around counterclockwise in a big circle, and they're just watching it basically. And it's when they get about to the point where they've now made this big circle, and they're almost at the point where they where they took off of that runway at that area, the light goes out. And when that happened, the pilot informs the thermal imaging camera operator to turn on the camera and begin tracking it, which is what basically he did. And he had it on manual, so he was actually maneuvering the camera around and tracking it. And then they do have radar on this, but unfortunately the radar can't track air objects. It's mainly built towards doing craft and water. They usually deal with drug smuggling kinds of events, and so much of that aircraft is designed that way. But bottom line was that they see this now they're watching. They have a display up on the front panel as well as in the back where the operator is, and everybody's watching as this object is what appears as though it's now maneuvering around the airport. It's heading toward the south, and then it makes a loop around the airport, and it then appears to, as they're going around in a big circle. So there's a big circle of pivoting going on. So you have them now seeing this object, and in the background it's moving pretty quick. But you actually see what appears as though the object now coming across the runway. There was a FedEx plane that was held up from taking off by the control tower. It was held up for I think it's 16 minutes on its departure. The object then is now starting to make a circle, and it's starting to head back out towards the water. And when you then see it, it's getting lower to the ground, and or lower to the water level. And you see it now going along, and it's changed its direction. Now it's going towards the west along the coastline. And you see it actually go into the water in a thermal image kind of a scenario. And then you actually see an indication of it moving underneath the water, as well as then you see it after about half a mile, it pops back up out of the water, and then it proceeds to darken. And if you know about thermal imaging cameras, you can designate the camera to be dark as hot or cold. In this case, dark is hot and white is cold. So that's all the layers of gray that you see in a thermal image. And this isn't 9 o'clock at night, so there's no light. You're basically looking at something, but it appears when you look at the video like it's daylight. Anyway, you see the object now pop up. It gets dark, and it proceeds to split into 2 identically sized objects, except that there are ones that's moving away from the other one, and then eventually it kind of disappears. You don't see it anymore, And then you also see then the first one that was there, kind of like eventually it slows down and it goes in. Well, when you see this video, we formed a team of a variety of scientists, and we spent over 2 years analyzing the video. We broke it into over 7,000 frames and basically analyzed frame by frame. One of the people on board is a physicist, and so we had a physicist, a mathematician, a chemist, and a number of other people that were engaged. And so we all had to do the same, similar to the Roswell slide kind of thing, where we all signed on disclosures because the person that we had that was talking with us, that provided us the video, said, look, our jobs are in jeopardy, and we are not wanting to have any ramifications from this, but we want it to be truly analyzed scientifically. And so we agreed, and we all signed non-disclosures, and we pretty much kept it quiet for over 2 years. And then little by little, we started to see this video pop up elsewhere. It turned out that what happened was some of the flight operators got a copy of it or something like that and passed it to somebody else. And the next thing you know, it ended up on YouTube. But anyway, bottom line was that we saw this incredible video. We've put a 162-page paper together. That's 47 pages of actual paper, and then there's a whole bunch of appendices. And we've got the radar data, like I said, and we put all that up on a website that we have called explorescu.org. And SCU means the Scientific Coalition for Ufology. We just created a team name, if you would. And so hope that your listeners can go and check that out.
Sure. Listen, let me ask you a question. Did the pilot, at any time of the Homeland Security flight that was involved in this chase, did he request military backup?
No.
Why not?
They did not request any kind of military backup, at least from what we know from talking with them. They considered themselves, first off, when they saw that the light went out, they believed that this was a drug smuggling aircraft.
Right.
Okay. And that's what their mission is.
Okay. But if they saw the strange action of this craft and they were having problems with identification, wouldn't it be normal standard operating procedures to notify the Air Force and have the Air Force intervene in this?
Well, see, what you have to understand is what they saw was an object that they thought was an aircraft at first. So that's what they believed it was. It wasn't until the end of that, when the object went in water and did its split, that they recognized that this is something a bit odd.
Did they then contact the military?
No.
Why not? Doesn't that seem strange?
I don't know why they didn't. But I believe at that point, when they saw that they went into the water and it was like gone, you can actually watch them panning back and forth and trying to look for it. What would the Air Force do? They would basically not be able to see anything because it was already underwater.
Well,
so
when it came up out of water, and it appeared that it split, did they notify the Coast Guard and ask for a recon or a ship to go to that area to do an investigation?
Not that I'm aware of. They had to proceed. What they did, they delayed their mission and they proceeded on with their mission after they had gone through this, right? So they proceeded on with their mission, which was to do whatever they did with their drug smuggling thing. It wasn't until they got back that they basically started to take a look really at what the video implied, what it was. And at that point, they did check to see where should we take this video? What should we do with it? Who should we report this to? And they attempted to go to the Air Force. And Air Force intelligence basically told them that they're not in the business of UFOs anymore and to take it to just a regular private or a public organization.
That doesn't make sense.
And neither does the fact that when we actually put a FOIA request into even the Custom and Border Protection, that basically what we got was that, they did nothing to acknowledge that the object was there. They did acknowledge that it was their video.
Right.
And the way they looked at it was that they were a little bit upset by the fact that we're showing our tactics to the world.
What do you mean?
Well, the tactics that they deploy.
Homeland Security's tactics.
Tactics, yeah. In other words, we're showing the screen to the world and what we do when we see a drug smuggling aircraft.
Well, don't you think that was a little tacky on your behalf with MUFON? Spilling the beans to the drug runners?
Well, we didn't do it with MUFON. This was disconnected from MUFON.
All right, so don't you think it was a little tacky doing it from whatever organization it was, showing that this is the technology that the U.S. government is using in Homeland Security to run drug interdiction?
No, because basically what you had there was the fact that the video had already been released on the internet. We didn't acknowledge or report ours until much later. We found that somebody else had already put it up on the internet, so it was already out in the public domain.
So what does the rest of the public think of the video? Does everyone who see it believe it's a UFO?
Well, first off, we didn't even choose to use the word UFO. We unidentified flying object is not what this is.
Okay, what is it?
We called it unidentified anomalous phenomena because we really don't know. I mean, 1 minute it's flying, the next minute it's swimming.
Yeah.
I mean, what is this phenomena that you have that's up there, and what's making it? And we can't, basically come to any conclusion on that. But the bottom line for us was that this was just a very unusual video. Mm-hmm. We focused on the video, then we focused on, the radar. We got the radar information, and that's where we took it.
All right, Rich, stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exo Nation. Rich Hoffman is our special guest, and we'll be back talking about UFOs on the other side of this break. If you've got any questions that you'd like to ask Rich, visit his website, www.mufonal.org. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, an author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, High Tech with Corey Kay, and every minute of the 24/7, 365 programming of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 712-432-9459, courtesy of TalkStream Live. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 712-432-9459 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 712-432-9459 for the best of paranormal, new age, thought-provoking, sci-fi radio programming 24/7, 365.
Coming soon to the X Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net. This is Kevin Randle. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandle.blogspot.com.
What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Rich Hoffman is our guest. Exonation, www.mufonal.org. Rich, just taking this example that we were talking about, the work that you and other people did on this anomalous object. When using the video that has been acquired from sources who do not want to be identified because it may jeopardize their job because they're not supposed to do something, whether it's this case or other cases that come across independent UFO desks, how come there isn't a bit of judgment that is used that this information may put government and Homeland Security in jeopardy?
I think that, I think that there's nothing about this video, in my estimation, and just looking at it, because let me tell you, first off, I work for the Army.
Yeah.
I'm working in the Redstone Arsenal here in Huntsville, Alabama. I have a security clearance. I'm a defense contractor.
Right.
I know what classified information is, and I know what, and bottom line for me is if you go up to the Westcam L3, L3 is the name of the company, but their the Westcam site, you can see that same display on their website on numerous videos. So there's nothing about what you see on the display that is in any way a concern. The fact that they circled an unknown object that they couldn't figure out, or whatever it was, that was maneuvering, was standard procedure that any logical person would do anyway. There's nothing about what they've revealed that in any way is classified. So what we're concerned about is, and what they're concerned about is, like many in the defense industry, including myself, is security clearance and keeping your job, right? So you sign these these documents that say you're going to protect classified information. Well, nothing about this was classified.
All right, then why did the person who gave you the video have you sign non-disclosure agreements?
Because at that point, they don't want us to reveal their names.
Have their names been revealed?
No.
Why not?
Well, I'm not going to reveal it. I'm not going to reveal it. Not until they tell me that they want it revealed. I mean, I honor the witness's decision. And by the way, if you've ever been, investigating UFOs, that's the common theme you run into. I mean, we find that most people do not want their names ever known. So, the integrity that you have as a UFO investigator is that you won't reveal it. And if they choose to do it, then they can do it.
But when somebody refuses to give a name and it gets out to the public, well, the person did not want to give their name to be published, doesn't that kind of put a bit of a, what's being hid here aspect to the investigation? Yeah, well, that's
part of the reason why when we got the video that we said, well, we're defocusing from the witnesses, and we were trying to prove through the data that, number one, was that an actual Homeland Security aircraft? Yes. We looked at the transponder code. We were able to see the flight direction and all that.
Right.
Secondly was the radar data. We found radar data. Okay, that helped to confirm that there was something there. The radar data also showed the flight of the aircraft. So it was in the right place at the right time. Okay. And when I look at the video and I'm looking at the actual data that's being displayed on it, it matches the time and everything else with it.
All right.
So I could care less whether that there's a witness to this whole thing or not. I'm more interested in what does the video reveal and what does the data reveal. And so we went after the data.
Why did it take 2 years to compile the report?
Well, it wasn't 2 years to compile a report. 2 years to also do a lot of other things. I mean, basically, the six of us were meeting, on periodic basis and trying to go through it. And we had to figure out what kind of software and our approach. We had to come up with the idea of how are we going to tackle looking at individual frames. We had to take a look at, what kind of tool could we get. We ended up getting a National Institute of Health tool that's used by them to be able to do it. Then there's all the mathematics of calculating it, and then there's also the finding out, well, what's the name of the camera, what kind of an aircraft, was this, and validating that, and dealing with, getting L3 to confirm that is a Westcam camera. We initially thought it was a FLIR camera. It turned out it wasn't. And so there's just that type of thing. And then eventually it's just putting together and finding the time to be able to do that. All of us have other jobs, and this is certainly not the only thing we're focused on. So it just took 2 years to be able to do all that work and spend all that time and dedicate ourselves to, when we could, on the study of that particular video.
So what was the final conclusion, the final findings?
Well, when typically to the UFO investigation thing, and this is just the way it typically works, you always look for, is there an explainable thing that you can find? And when you exhaust all explainable things, then you're left with something that's called an unknown. And so then you go and you start to look at, well, what plausible explanations can account for it. You've deduced the speed of it. You've deduced the direction changes that have happened. You've found that the video and the radar, the actual infrared video shows any kind of propulsion system to it. And it's maneuvering counter to wind direction. It's maneuvering into the water. It's doing what it's doing. And well, how do you explain the unusual, that you can see it moving underwater? And that's what we call a Bernoulli hump. That basically when an object maneuvers under the water, it can actually displace the top of the water. Mm-hmm. So we also had to do a lot of checking in, and we found FLIR technicians that are not FLIR, but Westcam technicians, and getting in touch with them. We tried to get a hold of L3. L3 was not cooperative with us. Anyway, that type of thing. And so it just spent a lot of time pulling it all together, and we finally got it all published. And then it was a matter of trying to get it out and letting people, actually we were looking more towards the scientific end to be able to look at it. We sent it over to the people in France for that. It's called Sigma 2. There's a team over there in AF3. I can't remember. Anyway, bottom line was there's this organization's tied to NASA over there that we helped have them look at it and see if we could get a review on it. They came back with thumbs up on it. And then we went and took it to other people like Dick Haynes at NARCOP. And also he was quite excited about it. So, we basically worked it from there.
Did you try and get the people at NASA to take a look at it?
No, haven't done anything with NASA. Not sure. What I'm doing right now in Huntsville is the University of Alabama Huntsville is adjacent to Redstone Arsenal. And basically I've got a professor over there who's in applied optics who is actually going and reviewing also the paper and also reviewing the video footage and what we came up with. And he's more of an infrared, whiz guy than many of us were. And so we're looking now and learning more about infrared and what, the implications of infrared. And this was a mid-wave range, 3 to 5 micron range camera and setting on it. We're learning more about emissivity, which is another factor that plays in on infrared. Which could also account for some things that we saw in the video. But anyway, bottom line is we're looking forward to having a scientific opinion take a look at that. And so I'm excited. I'm waiting for him to give me his analysis.
Is it possible that what you actually saw on this video that was recorded by Homeland Security was an experimental craft?
Actually, we looked into that, and the fact that the object was flying over a commercial aircraft, an airport at the time, would not be a smart move. Also the maneuverability and the splitting into two. We have found that there is drones, if you would, are on the increase, and there are some drones that can go directly in the water. But the only drone that's ever been put together by the military that we could identify was called the Flimmer. And the Flimmer was actually a drone that basically would fly in the air.
Right.
It would drop off its wings and then basically go into the water and become a torpedo.
Yeah.
But it never comes out of the water.
Yeah, but you're talking about military drones that are known about. But I'm sure there's a lot of things that the military and Homeland Security are doing that is not common knowledge.
Yeah, well, and I understand that, but no, there's nothing like this would account for all of the aspects of this case.
Nothing that is known.
Yeah, and so the fact that you have no propulsion system shown, there's no signature for that.
Well, there's no signature. Well, excuse me, there's no signature for a stealth either.
Yeah, there is. We're able to pick up stealth. We're able to pick up stealth helicopters, for example. You're talking about maybe like radar or something like that. But
so you mean the military is spending all this money on stealth technology that a simple flare system can pick up?
What I'm saying to you, no, this isn't the type of FLIR system that you'd use.
Questions. More questions than answers.
We have more advanced FLIR type cameras and more capable than what was used on the bottom of the aircraft for this.
All right, listen, I hate to do this, but we've run out of time for tonight. Rich, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of good questions here. Very few answers, though. Typical. I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. See, I want to believe, but yet, still no proof. Just because we don't know it exists doesn't mean that the military has systems that they're just not letting the public know. Don't go away.